You're listening to Sip and Grow the podcast, the show where we taste awesome, delicious wines while having unfiltered conversations about our passions, experiences, struggles, entrepreneurship, and life. My name is Nicole Di Pasquale, and I'm a wine enthusiast just trying to pursue her passions and dreams while taking you on the journey with me, one episode at a time. My ultimate goal is to not only bring you wine knowledge and value, but also inspire you to enjoy your process and journey in pursuing your passions and dreams. Because guess what? The person you become while enduring the process is more important. So sit back, grab a glass, and let's sip and grow together. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Sip and Grow. I have a special bottle today. So this is a well-known producer from Spain. The producer is called Marqués de Riscal. If you go to the supermarket, if you go anywhere, you're gonna see this guy everywhere. Honestly, from the times I've had this producer, it's always been a good experience. They're just really well known. They're super big in Spain. They've been producing wine since 1858, I think. 160 years basically of history and growth with vines and making wine. So this is a very historic wine. I got this from one of my birthdays a few years ago. I think it was like 5 years ago. It's a 2007 Reserva Rioja, which we spoke about. I just recently did an episode on the Rioja region, and it was a white wine that we did. So now we're going to go ahead and do a red wine. This one specifically is made of the grape Tempranillo, which is the number one grape in this region it's a very well-known grape variety. So this is actually made of 90% Tempranillo, and then the other 10% is Masuelo and Graciano, I think is what it's called. Let me just double check. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, Graciano and Masuelo, which I think I don't even think there's a lot of Masuelo in there because they put 10% of both of them together is what I read. I think it's more heavy on the Graciano grape, but whatever. 90% is Tempranillo, which is the most popular grape varietal in this region. And as I mentioned before, usually if you want like a regulation or a regulated wine from Spain, they do have a regulated system. So down here at the bottom of the bottle, if it is a regulated producer or wine, you'll find this label down here just kind of saying, this is good quality and consistent taste for this wine. And it's the Denominación de Origen Calificada. So I figured before we open this bottle, I wanted to get more into the region Rioja and why it's like the perfect region and climate for growing grapes or grapevines or having a vineyard and making some delicious wines. So one of the biggest things there that I read about and research is most of the Rioja region is made up of calcareous soils, which is kind of like a clay-like soil. And it's almost like depending on how much heat and pressure it's subjected to, it could either be as soft as chalk or talc. Wow, it's very windy outside right now. Or it could be as hard as limestone or marble, depending on the heat it was subjected to, and the heat and pressure. That was a napkin that just flew away, but it's fine. The show must go on. So what I thought was cool was that type of soil is very unique and very honestly, it's probably one of my favorite soils for grapevines to thrive in, because there's a lot of qualities to it. Usually that clay-like soil is made up of sea creatures and seashells, and that's what makes it like kind of like that clay-like texture, whatever. But one of the cool things is that the water retention it has is amazing, because during dry weathers, since it retains water easily, it can give that moisture or hydration to the vines as necessary. Or when it's raining really hard, the drainage is very smooth in those types of soils. So it's overall positive for any type of weather situation. It's almost like you can think of it like a sponge. So like it'll retain all the water necessary and kind of store it for when the vines need it, but it's also easily drainable, I guess would be the word. Whenever you need to like, drain water out if there's too much excess water there. So overall, it's really nice and helps the vines thrive at any season throughout the year. And then another positive thing about it, since like these soils tend to be high in calcium, so a lot of soils produce potassium. Potassium is not necessarily a bad thing, but like usually soils that are higher in potassium, that mean like the acidity will be lower as the grape ripens. So when you throwing calcium into the equation, so we're throwing calcium into the equation, it kind of like overrides or overpowers the potassium in the soil. And when you have a higher amount of calcium in the soil, that means that you're going to have high acids when you harvest the grapes, because it'll kind of not neutralize but overpower the potassium, and then create that high acidity in the berries once the berries like start ripening and stuff, and tend to be more highly acidic when the grapes are harvested. Another great thing that calcium does for the berries is that it kind of creates a protective barrier for the berries against any types of diseases. So what it does is it creates like a good cell structure within the berry, and like the skins tend to be a little bit like harder, I guess, or like more formed around the berry. So basically, it'll act like a protective barrier against any diseases, or a lot of issues with berries is that they tend to create like, or they tend to have fungal diseases, and this will kind of protect them from that, because they have such a well structured cell wall and barrier from the calcium. So that's also like, it's good berry health, I guess is what we can call it. So I loved like learning about all these facts, because I think honestly, like that type of soil, the clay like soil, for me is one of my favorites, because I think it just has a really good, since it's high in acidity, it has really good structure in acidity and really good structure in tannins. So overall, you're gonna probably have like 9 out of 10 times you're gonna have a really delicious wine coming from a grapevine that was raised in that soil, right? So let's go ahead and open this, and this has like a cage situation going on here. Hopefully I can just cut this. You know what? I brought scissors just in case, because I knew this would happen. I knew this would happen, and I would be over here like, oh my god, I can't open this. So we're just gonna make our lives easier. But yeah, this producer, look them up. They're one of the most popular producers in Spain. Like I said, they've been doing this for like 160 years, and they have a lot of lands. Like I think only in the Rioja region, so over there in Europe they do hectares, I think is what it's called, which is I have to like translate it to acres, but looking up the translation or the conversion, I'm like, what is it called? Conversion from hectares to, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but hectares to acres. It was like the Rioja region for them, for this producer, because they have other areas where they have vineyards as well. It was like 3,700 acres of land, and I was like, wow, you really wanted just a little bit of land, huh? That was crazy. That was wild. But I'm excited to drink this one because it's a 2007 vintage. Like this one, so they usually age this in oak barrels for like 24 months, and then they age it for 1 year in the bottle, and then they release it. So this one, like I said, is 2007. Yeah, 2007. And at the time, so this specific one we're drinking today, the 2007 vintage, was made from vines that were like 15 years old. So now those vines are probably like between 30 to 40 years old. Just because when they harvested these grapes at that time, the vines were younger, but they got older. Like all of us are getting older. But anyways, age just means that you're gonna have delicious wines. That's all it means. Age is just a number and creates amazing wines. Period. But yeah, they aged this 24 months in oak barrels and 1 year in the bottle. So I figured it was time to open it because it's been a while that we've had it here. I can already see, yeah, like, I don't know if you see that. It's already like seeping through the cork. So I'm glad I kind of opened it now versus waiting a couple more years. I think I got this for like my 25th birthday. That almost broke. It's all good. We're here. We're thriving. All right, let's try this. Oh, okay. So immediately pouring it, I already see the color is like, it has that like aged garnet red color, which I love. And let's go ahead and swirl this around a little bit, get the aromas out of the glass. Oof, okay. Focus, Nicole. You're getting so excited. So I'm almost like, I'm definitely sensing the dark berry, like the dark fruits. So blackberry, cherry, like a dark cherry, cranberry, even like, I don't know, even like a little bit of licorice, I'm gonna say. And then of course, like you smell that, which I know you're not supposed to say this, but whatever, I'm gonna say it. The smokiness to it, which is from the oak barrels probably, and just like being in the bottle for such a long time. But it's definitely the 24 months of being in the oak barrels. I just feel like it gives it that like oaky, smoky scent to it, but not saying that the wine tastes smoky because we don't want to say that. As my winemaker told me, we don't say that when we do tasting notes. All right, let's try it. Ooh, okay. So confirmation on all the dark berries. There's definitely, it's very peppery. So hard on like it's very harsh on the like I would say black pepper, not even red peppers. It's more black pepper, hints of black pepper in there. The licorice was on point. It is high on the tannins. It kind of sits on your throat and then goes down. It's medium bodied for sure. It kind of is on the drier side of like obviously this is a dry wine, but it like sits in your throat and tongue and then like goes down after a while, but it's just the tannins lingering on the tongue is what it is, kind of like if you've ever drank a Chianti Classico, it has that same effect. It doesn't taste anything like a Chianti Classico, but what I'm saying is like it has the same tannin effect to it, where it kind of just like lingers on your tongue, and then it goes down. Overall, I mean, I would say it's so funny because like even on the nose now it's opening up more. It's just very hard, like the on the nose it's very hard on like the berries, like dark berries or dark fruits. But then when you taste it, you feel that like herbal, not even herbal, I would say more like the peppery spiciness to it, because it's more on the spice side. Because I would even say there's, let me taste it again. You know, I would even say there's like, it almost tastes like there's a hint of black pepper and thyme in there as well. And even bay leaves. I get the sense of bay leaves. But overall, I would say this is 8 out of 10. That would be my rating for this wine. It's very good. I would have it with like a hearty meal. So if you're going for a light meal, I wouldn't necessarily drink this wine. I would drink it with something that's more heavy on, like, I don't know, a pasta with like a hard sauce, like a tomato sauce, or a good steak, or like lamb chops with like mashed potatoes, or what else would I have this with? Yeah, I would do anything with like a meat sauce or like a really heavy red sauce. I think this would go great with that. This bottle is actually, so I looked up the price. It starts at the $50 range and goes up from there. So it is on the pricier side. I'm gonna try to see if I can find a link to purchase this wine, but I think since it's such an old vintage, it's just harder to find. If anything, I might link like a younger vintage in the link in my bio, but I'll definitely put the vintage that we tried today, and then if I don't find this vintage for purchase, I'll link another website that maybe sells like a younger vintage to it. But overall, 8 out of 10. Try it out. Let me know what you think. I would definitely, like, I'm gonna have this now with dinner. I think we're doing, which I don't know if it's gonna go great with dinner, but it's fine. We're gonna figure it out. We're still gonna drink it, but I think we're doing hamburgers for dinner, so it's gonna be interesting. Anyways, let me know what you think of this episode. Leave me a comments, reviews, whatever you want. I always love to hear back from you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. And cheers. I hope you drink your wine tonight, because as always, I will drink my wine tonight.